Welcome to Leadership Hacks. And today we're going to talk a little bit about do less for much more. And before we start, we're just going to watch a little video on how to reflect. And then we'll get right into doing less for much more coming up, Leadership Hack number 2. All right, so let's just watch this quick video and then we'll be back with some leadership hacks.
I'm making coffee. Does anyone want one?
Hello?
Yes, I'll be there.
Yep, I prepared the material. So that'll be about 150 sentence.
Hey boss, could I have a quick word with you?
Sure, Emily. Come, what's up?
Everyone seems pretty off today, boss. It's like no one can focus or be productive.
Really? Is there anything we can do about this?
Actually, I was thinking Pilates would work wonders for them. Do you know that a simple 20-minute session is able to help keep you centered and maintain focus throughout the day?
Hey, actually, that sounds like a very good idea. Why don't you guys go ahead and I'll join you in a minute.
Okay, great. Thanks, boss.
With Bruce and Geshal's finding that 90% of managers waste their time with haphazard activity, we have found that a healthy balance of action and reflection keeps productivity high. Great leaders reflect daily, for 20 minutes each morning, focusing on the day's goals and planning how best to achieve them. And 20 minutes each night, reflecting on how well the day had gone.
Now stand on your right foot and put your left foot against your right knee. Just like that. That's right. Now steady. Now hands up on top of your head. Good job. Come on top of your head. Yes, that's right. And focus on one single point in front of you. Alright? It helps to build focus. Good job, Yasir.
Thanks. It's like Qui-Gon Jinn said in Star Wars. Focus determines your reality.
Line from a movie, you did? Great work, guys. Mastering reflection is just what we need to recognize and learn from the mistakes that we have made.
Thought leaders like Nobel laureate Albert Schweitzer and philosopher John Dewey agree that making mistakes alone is not enough to ensure we don't repeat them. Instead, we must reflect on them to pinpoint exactly what went wrong. The Cobb learning cycle and the reflective model both emphasize this approach as well.
Okay guys, now let's try the scorpion pose.
Not the scorpion pose.
Come on, you can do it. Just go down. It's good for you. Really good. Right. Left.
Welcome back to Leadership Hacks. And today we're going to talk about doing less with more, or the other way around, right? Doing more with less, right? Essentially, many of us know of this concept. In Taoism, it's called Wu Wei. Not sure if you've heard of this concept of Wu Wei. It's the art of non-doing, or what we call actionless action. Now, some might say it sounds like some new age buzzword, but the idea has been around for thousands of years, and there's various variations that we can find in different countries, different places, different societies, right? And I think, in sort of our modern society, we've heard this phrase, yeah, man, being in the zone, man. I'm in the zone, man. Yeah, it's just flowing, man. And this describes this mindset of being focused, at peace, while navigating a challenging task or performance. Athletes, Usain Bolt, just before the 100-meter sprint, you got that zone. You can just sense that they're being in the zone. The surgeons, as they're operating during a complex procedure, everyday life, right? We see this state, right? When we're driving, when we're putting in a presentation, when pianists get lost in their music, when they have the feeling of wu wei, there is no thinking, no conscious effort. The ideal performance just flows after all inessentials fall away, right? And this is what we term as being in the zone or wu wei, right? Now, I see Becky has joined us. Becky, welcome, welcome. Great to see you. And Becky's coming to Malaysia, so welcome, Becky, and hopefully we'll see you in Malaysia shortly. And back to Wu Wei and back to being on the zone right now. Today, millions of people actually feel stressed at work, in their personal lives. There is so many demands and so little time to meet them. We're told that we should be constantly learning, growing, striving, grinding. And on top of that, we have to work hard at our relationships, our friendships, our hobbies, our interests, and everything can be improved and be done better and more of and scaled. And we hear the word scaling, scaling, scaling. And on top of that, don't forget, we have to keep in mind the importance of self-care. Plus, we must be top performance in everything that we do. Wow. And everything points us, right? Society as a whole says, we got to do more, we got to do more, we got to give more, we got to be at more places, we got to just do more and more and more. But actually, it turns out, right, that a little bit of neglect here and there is actually good for us. Now, the word neglect itself has some seriously negative connotations, right? When you say neglect, right, you straight away think negative, right? However, I'm going to talk about a little bit of neglect here and there can actually be good for us, right? So if you think of neglect, failure to look after, failure to care for, failure to prepare, failure to something, right? But actually, neglect also simply means to leave alone, to just let be, right? And we can see the occasional benefits of neglect, right? I mean, there are benefits of neglect almost everywhere, right? You think about fitness, right? To maximize our fitness, instructors will tell us to have rest days, right? And I'm guilty of this, right? I just don't want to take any rest days. I'm like, no, I if I rest, it's going to be bad. But we need rest days because if we overtrain, our muscles become fatigued and prone to injury, which happens to me all the time. I always overexert myself and get injured, right? But when we rest, it gives time for our muscles and our body to repair, to heal, to grow, and we get better results, right? And parents, right? Think about parents, right? Occasionally, we leave alone our children to solve their own problems on their own, rather than this helicopter parenting that's constantly intervening, always trying to figure out with them, for them, how to solve problems. But when we let them be, we leave them, we neglect them, we see them build resilience, develop independence, improve their academic performance. I mean, my son's a good example. I'm like, just let it be, you be, and it's enabled him to develop a lot of resilience. And even now he's like, okay, I'm gonna be self-disciplined to take on this task and other tasks. And there is benefits in neglect. Intensive parenting can create a whole range of issues as the child grows up, right? So we know in parenting, generally doing less leads to healthier, more productive outcomes. So, so where's all this going? So you might be asking, right? How does doing less in everyday life lead to doing more things? I mean, just that's mind-boggling. Like, it doesn't work, right? And we sometimes hear that being busy isn't the same as getting things done. And that's true, right? Being busy isn't the same as getting things done. A person can have 50 things on their plate at the office, and yet it's that person who's focused on 5 things who makes the most progress. From employee well-being to job satisfaction to organizational progress to growth, the guy that is focused or the girl that is focused is the one that gets things done. And give you a couple of examples. When Steve Jobs returned to Apple in the 1990s, the company he founded was failing. I remember it was 97. They were a couple of weeks away from bankruptcy. And part of the problem was the company was trying to do too much, including producing so many different variations and versions of the same product, right? There was a whole host of products. And the incredible turnaround for this ailing tech giant was actually initiated when Jobs started streamlining the products. And he asked his top managers a very simple question: which product should I tell my friends to buy? Which one do I tell my friends to buy? And it was all over, right? And Jobs actually cut the number of Apple products by more than 70%. As a quick question from Matt, are there any downsides to being in the zone, of having to be in the zone when getting things done? We'll talk a little bit about this. And when we talk about being the zone, is that being that focus on getting those few things done, right? And I think many times we have many things to do, Matt, and we want to be in the zone. I got 50 things to do, you got to pick 3 to 5 things that you want to be in the zone for, and focus on working on those. And Randy says exactly. All right, Randy, spot on, man. So it's about focus, right? It's about really focusing on a few things. The notion of do more, achieve more is actually a troublesome attitude that, like many pitchy lines, lacks substance. Someone working 40 hours a week can achieve much more than someone working 80 busy hours, if that 40 hours is really focused in the zone and really productive hours, right? And so that's my point here. It's about being very focused and being very productive. Now, the trouble comes when we are inclined to do more without stopping to ask why. New Year's resolutions are a prime example. A time when people can peel off lists of goals and objectives for the year, which often don't really last beyond sometimes early January, sometimes February, if you really push it, right? So instead of resolving, I need to read 5 books every month, the motion might last if the resolution is changed from a numbers-based goal to a values-based goal that becomes the intention to learn something every month that helps me to become more confident. Now, see, it's a lot more focused, right? So think about, I'm going to read 5 books every month versus I'm going to learn something every one that helps me to become more confident, right? Now, it can result in 5 books a month, but it's really about being that focus and driving those key actions that help you get to where you want to. I see, Dinesh, there are so good product solution, but yet still perplexed to choose. And I think your point is that when you have too many, right, you just don't do any, right? And so the idea is to be very focused. And there's a book by Greg McKeown, and he wrote this book, Essentialism. And he actually outlines a 3-step process, which I'm going to walk you through, for doing less but achieving more. And I really like what Greg says. He talks about 3 actions. He says, explore what activities feels essential versus non-essential, eliminate activities that are non-essential, and number 3, make space and create sustainable habits around activities you deem to be essential. Now, these 3 key areas are very, very critical. Now, this can translate into making small changes or significant improvements. For example, over a typical weekday, how often do we check emails or reply to non-urgent messages straight away? So you see an email pop in, you immediately want to answer that. Now, this may feel like productive work, right? I mean, to many of us, it's like, oh, I just finished this email, I get the dopamine hit, I feel good, I push out that email. However, it actually takes away from what we really need to be spending time on. And we feel this whenever there's a sense of being tired, and yet we barely got through important stuff that we planned. So I'll give you an example of myself. Like I'll be what it means to really understand what is essential versus non-essential. So I'm doing, I'm in the zone and I'm working on a pitch deck that I really need to do to present to investors or whoever it is. And suddenly an email comes in on a completely unrelated topic on an operational issue, and I get excited. I know how to solve this, and I go and I get and use my zone. From that zone, I move to this zone and I start answering the email, and then boom, I'm sending it out. Now, when I go back to my essential work, which is that pitch deck, I suddenly am not in the zone anymore. I've lost it, right? And so I work it up and I recall what I was working on, and I slowly get back into the zone. But by the time I get back into the zone, I've actually wasted. I should have just ignored that email, continued my work, and then when I'm done, boom, 25 minutes, I'm done using the Pomodoro technique. I'm like done. I take the 5 minutes break, and then I say, okay, now let me just get to emails, and I just get to boom every single email that I need to, and I'm done. I actually do much more. So I may spend 2.5 hours doing what could have been done in 2 bursts of 25 minutes. 25 minutes on email and 25 minutes getting that pitch deck done, and that's what it means, right? So whenever you're doing at work or elsewhere, ask yourself, am I doing the most important, meaningful thing right now? If not, what's holding me back? What am I spending time on that can wait, that can be discarded altogether? When we do with conscientiousness, doing something deliberately and thoroughly, we enter into this state of flow of being in the zone. We become absorbed, right, in this doing, and we give all our energy to it, which means that we finish what we are doing sooner and to a higher quality. And that's very important, right? Recently a friend told me that she was struggling to read more books. And even though she has downloaded so many books, to a phone or to a Kindle, or, as I do, I'm like, oh, that's a great book. Let me download it or let me buy it. But every time, after about 10 or so pages, it becomes a struggle to keep the momentum. Now, it turned out that reading time was also checking email time and scrolling through social media and watching videos time. And it's no wonder when you are reading, it becomes a struggle because there's so many other things that are vying for your attention. And these are non-essential things that actually can wait. And once that realization was made, right, and she understood that multitasking doesn't work. I know Tiffany early on had asked a question, I really want to learn how to multitask. Multitasking doesn't work, right? It's about zoning yourself into one task, getting it done, and then going to the next one, and then going to the next one. And in the process, you've done many, but you didn't multitask, right? You focused and get into the zone on each of these tasks. And then the reading becomes much more enjoyable. So you start to gain a lot more insights and you get that increased focus, right? So trying to meet the challenge of seemingly endless demands with our finite resources can often lead us to try so hard to fit everything in that we end up getting nothing much done. Stripping away some of it, if not all of it, of what matters least to us helps free our time and energy to really focus on what's important by doing less. And guess what? We're going to feel a whole lot better doing it. Now, I'm going to take a couple of your comments. Thanks. Keep them coming. Focus on being confident rather than doing. And that was my earlier point, right? Like when you say, I want to read 5 books, why that value? What does 5 books mean? Nothing, right? But when you talk about the why, I want to learn to become more confident. I want to learn how to create NFTs because my deep passion one day is to design art. So, okay, then I want to focus on how can I learn more about NFTs. And reading books may be a good idea, or going on blog sites or whatever it is, right? So really, yes, focus on the why rather than the measurement, like 5 books and so on and so forth. Ronald Benjamin rightly said, focus on essentials are vital where effectiveness. Thanks, Ronald. Absolutely. Okay, we got a LinkedIn user who says, going to pick up essential to read. Sounds interesting. Absolutely. And we put up the poster one more time. Again, my producer put up our poster, but we have Greg McKeown's book, Essential, fantastic book, doing the 3-step process: explore, eliminate, make space, and create. It's amazing, right? And a couple more users. This is so true. And you can feel free to read more about this leadership hack at leaderonomics.com. You can see, Google the article, want to get more done by doing less, by myself. I wrote that, and you can read a little bit more, or you want to get access to good productivity tools, get on to leaderonomics.com. It's in Mandarin, it's in Bahasa Indonesia, Bahasa Malaysia, and a number of other languages. I think Spanish is also available for you there. So with that, I want to get a couple more questions from you. And as the questions roll, I want to do a quick little plug out, quick 30 seconds plug out for this amazing tool, which I use, called Nicole. So let's just watch this very quick video on Nicole. All right, and you can get this is self-guided. It's amazing. I mean, got videos, podcasts, articles, AI pushes specifically curated content to you, for you, that is very personalized to you. So it's an amazing tool, and there's groups there. There's a book reading club in there. Some great books recommendations, and you can add your recommendations and you can learn what people are reading. And there's also some other great sort of clubs in there, and other different groups that you can join to learn about creative. There's how to become a better creative, to become a better writer, and a whole bunch of other things in there. So let me take a couple more comments that are coming out in LinkedIn and Facebook and a couple other sites. So I've got another user that says it's about the how, a focused manner, more than a what am I in in saying that, right? Am I right in saying that? Then the what? Yes, exactly. Somewhat, right? It's about think about the why, right? What is it that you want to do, and then say, how can I do these things? So these are the 5 things that will help me get my big why for the day, or the big why for the month, or the big why for the year, right? So I wanna drive a better lifestyle. I want to be healthier, right? That's a big why. And say, how am I going to do that? I need to go to the gym every day. I need to spend 30 minutes in cardio. I need to spend 15-20 minutes on strength, and I need to do 10 minutes of stretching, right? So when and that's the how, right? When you focus on the why and say, why you're doing this, then the how becomes a lot. And then when you're in the gym, you don't go and say, look, I got 1 hour for the gym, and it's 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes cardio, 15 minutes of strength, or 20 minutes of strength, and 10 minutes. I planned it out. But when you go there and then you get distracted and you go in the zone, right? Cardio, right? And then you're like, hey, I've got a message from a buddy at work. I'm going to check it and I'm going to reply. And you're on WhatsApp and you're on this. And then, before you know it, right? You don't do the strength and you don't do the stretching. And so you did 30 minutes of cardio, but you didn't do the other 2. And you're like, 1 hour's gone. I got to run to work. I got to shower. And that's where you spend the same time, right? An hour, but you just you do less actually for much more. So that sometimes you say, I'll extend my gym time to an hour and a half, but now you spend an hour and a half, what should have taken you an hour, because you got distracted on things that didn't really matter, the non-essentials, right? So that's absolutely important. And I see Nadine's calling out Sarah. Sarah, here's a call out from Nadine, Sarah Natchez. Nadine calls you and says hi. So Nadine, hi to you. So with that, right, if there's no more questions, I highly recommend you to try this out, right? So how do we break the mentality of doing more equals good, right? So I think this is a mindset, right? And this is ingrained in us from especially many of us in the Asian context, or even the Puritan context in Western society, right? It's like when you're not doing, and I remember this, when I first started working in GE, I had a boss, right, who always felt that if you didn't come to work early and leave the work after the boss left, it means you're lazy, right? Now the problem was that, look, I became very efficient at doing what I do, and I could do my work in 2-3 hours, and I started to realize that I was just wasting my day away, because traditionally I should be staying at work from 8 a.m. To 8 p.m. because my boss leaves at 7:30, right? So I have to show. But I was actually wasting eight hours, because I work for 2-3 hours, and then the remaining 8-9 hours is totally wasted, right? And that's where I said, look, I've got that hours, and if I got to put up this front, so I'm going to use that to learn more and do more. And so I started, at that time, it was 94, I started downloading stuff from the World Wide Web and toolkits, and I learned SQL and how to basically try to do macros on that time, Lotus 123, today we call it Excel, and stuff like that. And I suddenly realized at that point, my mindset started to break, is that actually sometimes you do a lot, but it's about that focus of doing things in a very, very, very specific way, and then resting. And today I think it's Esther, the mindset has to be something that you cultivate, because when you do something, you then reward yourself, right? So I always say that there's a method called the Pomodoro technique, where you say, look, work for 25 minutes and give yourself a 5-minute break. Work for another 25 minutes, give another 5 minutes. Work for 25 and give another 5 minutes, and then give yourself a 30 minute or 15 or 20 minute or 30 minute break to say, hey, I was in the zone for 3 good pieces of work, and it's completed. Wow, I'm gonna break, and I'm gonna enjoy my break. I'm gonna watch a Netflix comedy for 30 minutes. I'm gonna watch something for 30 minutes or 22 minutes and just enjoy myself. And then I'll get back to my next three areas of zone. So the breaking of the mentality that doing more is good. Doing more is not bad, right? I'm not saying it's not bad. You want to do more, but it's about doing more focused work rather than doing more sporadic and stupid and non-essential work, right? So you want to do more, but you want to do it in chunks of effectiveness and essentialness, right? So if you can do 3 pockets of essential work. Wow, that's much better than doing no pockets of essential work and a lot of non-essential work, right? So it's really about that, right? And I see Dr. Raj Kumar is here. And this guy is an amazing guy. Dr. Raj Kumar is one of the guys who are probably one of the most strategic minds in Southeast Asia. He leads the Blue Ocean Consulting Unit. And his advice, and rightly put, it's about focus and concentration. Know your productivity optimum, right? Absolutely well said, Dr. Raj. And great to see you here on the show. And we should get you to come and give us some strategic hacks, right? Not just leadership hacks. Teach us how to be more strategic in the way we look at things and the way we optimize and the way we get things done. So, Dr. Raj, thanks for being on the show. Nadine, how do you build a routine of getting to the zone? This is a great question, Nadine. To me, it starts with doing it once, right? So you defocus everything. And to me, it starts with your desk, right? Now, if your desk has your phone there, and I've learned, and this is interesting, I've learned to put my phone upstairs. And sometimes when I really get into the zone, I'll switch off my WhatsApp on my computer and all the other things. And I'm like, okay, just that document, that Word document, especially when I have to write articles, and the browser because I do some research, and I'm just going, and I say 25 minutes, I put an alarm clock, and my desk is empty outside of what I need to have. I put an alarm clock for 25 minutes, and I'm looking at the clock, I'm saying, goodness, it's already 10 minutes and I'm here. And I'm like, at the end of 25 minutes, I cannot do this anymore, right? I have to finish 3 paragraphs or whatever I agreed to myself that this is the work that needs to be done in 25 minutes. So I'm like, I got to get this opening done. And so I'm like, boom, 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 boom. 20 minutes, I got 5 more minutes. And then this frantic deadline thing hits me and I just boom. And then at 25 minutes, the alarm rings. And I'm like, boom, I'm done, right? And I look at it, I'm like, okay, not bad, right? But when I zone it, it's like I've done the opening. And then I go do something else. And then I do maybe the closing, and then I'll do the in between and so on and so forth, right? But you build the infrastructure, the environment around you, tweak your environment to enable you to be able to have those pockets of what I call zone, when you're in the zone, or when the thing is just, the mojo is just flowing and you're just in the dojo. So that's kind of what it is. Thanks for that, Dr. Raj. And another, using being busy is not necessarily being productive. Absolutely. Being busy is not being productive at all. Because if you think about it, I'm busy answering emails, but I've got certain, what we call clear key objectives or results that I need to hit, right? I have this objective that I need to hit for this month or this year or this quarter, right? And when I answer emails, it does not necessarily hit my objective. It may not. And most likely, you're responding to the moment, not necessarily doing what is important. There's a great tool from Stephen Covey many years ago, when he wrote 7 Habits, he talked about, doing what is important versus what is urgent. We tend to be drawn to doing what's urgent, and we keep doing what's urgent and never doing what's important. So we look back after a year, we say we did all the urgent stuff, but actually did nothing important. And then we come and realize that, we probably should have spent some time doing things that are a little bit more urgent. All right, so we've got a couple more questions I missed from folks at the top. Let me just pick that up. Actually, I don't see that, so maybe the producer can highlight some of these questions. Perhaps this is when we apply the 80-20 rule, in which we put 20% of the time into producing 80% of the result. Not yes and no, Eva. What I'm saying is that sometimes your role may be not about producing, right? Sometimes your role is about producing. Sometimes your role is about driving results. So you need to see what your role is, and you need to figure out what that is, right? So to me, producing is important, results is important, and I think what is not so important is the things that may seem urgent today, but in the scheme of things, really not important, right? Is it really important that you did this thing, right? Maybe, but most likely it was not very important. Is it really important for you to have taken a 2-hour lunch? Maybe, right? Maybe you needed a break, maybe not, right? So only you would know what is important and what is like things that you're doing that are non-essential. So the bigger rule is really, 80% essential, 20% non-essential. Let me see if there's any other comments, and then we can close with it. New work has definitely made this topic even more relevant. Yes, and new work, talks about, really, new work is really talking about the way, if you think about the 120 years ago, when things started to move to manufacturing and customization, or what we call mass sort of production. And you have factories, and you had basically, basically we're training people to do specific specialization. Today's sort of world is changing, and we need to really, I mean, this has a significant impact in the work. What is the kind of work that we will be doing down the road? And a lot of the work that we'll be doing will be very much about knowledge, and about managing it, and about regurgitating it, and about service. It'll be very much related around that, not so much about production, in terms of building and so on and so on. A lot of that will be automated, right? And managing transactions and all this, a lot of that will be automated. So that may have some impact down the road, but it still doesn't underlie what is urgent and what is important. The essential things, if we keep focusing on doing that, we will go a long way, rather than just focusing on everything that is on our plate today. All right. With that, I don't think there's any more comments. And thank you, Idris, for that comment out there. With that, I want to wish you guys all the best, and have a great one. Don't forget, you can download. You can also go to nicole.tech and be able to download this great app called Nicole. Or you can go into the digital.leaderonomics.com/Nicole app and be able to get your own personalized Nicole. So with that, check out leaderonomics.com. There's some great tools, great articles, and great stuff out there. With that, I just want to say all the best in your leadership journey. Have a great one, everybody. And I'm going to end with showing another cool little app. If you haven't had it in your office, go ahead and check out this app. And this app is called Happily or Budaya. And you can check that out on budaya.app. Have fun, guys.